Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Well, as I showed you in my previous video about here on the combine, I am going to start working on getting this throat taken off. And I've already taken these belts off before in order to check that up in there. And so, which that's pretty simple. Just undo your tensioners and they come right off. So I'm going to get to work here, getting ready to take this big pulley here off. Also, this is going to be part one of, no, this may be a little longer part series of taking the throat off. So I'll just give you that as a heads up now. I'll just be breaking these up into part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 example or 4 example videos. Alright, that's got that belt off. Go ahead and put that back over here. I've already got the belt taken off that goes up here and drives the upper feeder house. And you can just leave it hang down here in the back like that. Also, on this, this is the tensioner for that belt that goes up and drives the upper feeder house. I would not suggest to take and spin this clear out of the spring, because it's either a regular hex nut or it's got a 4 square nut inside that head. And so thing to do in order to get this down out of the way so that pulley can come off is just grab yourself a rubber strap, hook onto one of these hydraulic lines down here, and just simply keep it pulled down out of your way. Now I gotta get some wrenches. Alright, to get this pulley off, you got to take that 1/2-inch bolt out right there. Usually the best thing to do is take an impact. So I'm going to grab my impact. We'll get this bolt here taken out of the end. Alright, let's go ahead and get this thing here broke loose. There we go. Sometimes they may have several washers like that. Other times it may just have a big spacer, which, if I remember correctly, that is what the R52's got. It's got, I think, maybe one lock washer and then a big spacer piece. Okay, that's got that bolt out. Now that we got the bolt out, you're going to want to take, well, that right there is the end of that hex shaft that goes clear through to the other side of the throat. What you're going to want to do is take and slide the pulley, slide it out a little bit. So you're going to take and put a pry bar down through here, kind of up here toward the top, and just begin to work out some. There we go. Oh, I guess there was a washer still stuck out here on this outside end. I just popped it off there. Okay. All right. Now, once you get it out here, you're going to see there's a ring of bolts that go right around here. Those bolts, let me get the camera again. Those bolts are what hold this slip clutch to this, because this here bolts onto this pulley. That way you can take the slip clutch off separately. Now, this is an older version. I think there are 6 6 bolts, if I remember right, that hold that clutch on. On the R52, in fact, I also remember on our 1996 R52, it had a newer style clutch on it, and it's got like the slip clutch itself over here has like a big flange head, and it's actually held on by just 4 bolts. But in 96, I know they made several different changes, which also included a longer shoe. And if I remember right, these are, well, a gear inch head might be too big to go on that. I'm almost positive those are a 1/2 inch. Or they take a 1/2 inch wrench. Yeah, they do. All right, I need a socket. That gear wrench head's too thick to go around that bolt head. All right, I got a socket. Also, when you go to slide this pulley out, slide it out so that you can begin to see right there just the beginning of the spline teeth, because you don't want that thing coming off the end of that shaft. It's really heavy. There we go. And once you get it broke loose from the socket, you can just reach back in there by hand. I'll probably end up smacking the camera with my arm as well, and spin the bolt out. Okay. Right there's one bolt. Now I gotta get the rest of them out of there. Alrighty, we got the bolts out. Now, right there's the slip clutch. I'll go ahead and get you out here, that way you can see a little better. Yeah, there we go. Like I say, you got them 6 bolts that hold the slip clutch onto the pulley right back in there. Might be kind of hard to see. And I've rebuilt these here also, but ever since I put the Dan Hurt feeder floor kit in this combine, the slip clutch isn't going off near as much. Just only occasionally if you get into like a bunch of like crabgrass or a big bunch of green stem beans I want to slug in at one time. But it definitely made a big difference in this machine and the R72, and I'll be showing that once I get the throttle off and looking up inside there. Okay, now that pulley is ready to come off, and generally what I'll do is I'll get a rope. We'll grab one. You're going to want to take a rope because it's got like holes in the casting, and if I can find it. Okay, probably see my finger stuck out right there. Run the rope through, loop it up. If you have a rope like this with a little clip thing, you just simply take and hook it back to itself. That works out best like that. Trying to hold the camera. There we go, just like that. Generally what I'll do is I'll sit up on top of the tire. That way I can actually hold the thing. Because like I say, this thing's heavy. And then just take and go ahead and bring it on out here toward the end of the drive shaft. And as you can see, well, maybe there's not much drive shaft, so we're at the end. Now I just got to jump up on top. All right, I think I got you halfway decently set, that way you can watch. I'm going to sit right up here on top of the tire, because you can usually put a foot right here on this ledge and then actually be able to take and hold that pulley. Now it actually works best if you have somebody help as you're holding to get back in here with a pry bar and actually and slowly pry that thing off. That way you can basically catch the thing with the rope. And I'll have Dad grab the pry bar. He's over in the other shed, and then we'll get that taken down off there. That way you can see how it's done. Thing in that shaft, I'm going to take and hold the thing. Yeah, get that ladder out of the way. I'm going to take and hold the thing.
Oh.
It ain't going to push very hard. Just bring it out there.
I'm trying to see.
Go under that. Don't even use that thing. Get clear out from underneath it. Just come right in on this side and push out.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
On the out end.
Yeah. Oh boy, that thing's heavy.
Well, can you take it to the ground?
Well, I got the rope wrapped around my hand. Okay. Hang on. If you can kind of steady it there on the axle, that's why I threw these other gloves on. That one, just let the rope. Okay. Let it come forward. Right down the ground. There we go. I'd say that thing probably weighs at least 100 pounds, if not more.
Boy, that'll be fun to put back on, won't it?
Well, actually, it's not too awful bad to put on. Yeah, because if you're sitting here on top of the tire, you can put one foot on top of the throat, the other foot back here on this frame, and pull it up.
That rope trick that you pull up on.
Yeah. Well, as you saw there, having somebody to actually hold the thing while you're up here by a rope and somebody else to pry it off is the way to take these big old pulleys off. That's why I had Dad knock it off with the big pry bar, and I held the thing lowered it to the ground. Oh man, that thing's heavy. In fact, I know a guy if I remember, at the time he had an R52. I think now he has an R62. This here's been several years ago, but he went to rebuild this slip clutch, and evidently he didn't realize that you could take the clutch off that thing independently. That's why they bolt on. That way you can take just the clutch off, put new springs inside, then put it back on. And I remember him telling me he just went and took the bolt out of the end, worked it off, and he said the thing came crashing down out of there, pretty near broke his foot and everything. So you don't exactly want that to happen. Alrighty, let's get back in here. That right there is there's going to be one of the bearings inside there once I get everything all taken out. That need to be replaced. But the reason why you got to take that pulley off is to this bolt and this bolt right here are what hold the throat on, because it pivots right here, and I always grease these things here up every day. That's on that pivot. So now we got that off, we're going to jump around to the left hand side. Here on the left hand side, got to get that big variable speed belt off. And what you want to do, get the camera set back up here, is take and loosen up this idler pulley. You don't need to come off a whole lot, just so it's got some play in it now. Up here on top, well, we'll come in here from the side. I've got a socket on an extension. That's just a draw bolt, and all that does, it just runs the pulley up and down this way to tighten or loosen the belt up. So I'm going to grab my impact and we'll get that tensioner loosened up right there. When you go to run it down, not too sure how well you can see on camera. Well, you might be able to see kind of a dirt line as to where that pulley has been at. And so you'll just want to take and okay, now right there, it's actually pushing up on the, there we are. You get this pulley here loose enough, it'll just fall down on its own. Alright, That's got that pulley run way down, and you can pretty much see back there in the dirtiness where it's been at. So not that big a deal, get lined right back up again. Okay, that's got that loosened up. There we are. To get the belt itself off, here on the front sheave, there's, well, looks like 8 bolts. Yeah, 8 bolts around here. You're going to take them out, and it'll allow this outer plate to come off. Okay, I just took the last bolt out before I could get the camera turned back on. The face plate literally fell off, which is what you want. And that's just going to come off there just like that. And these here, as far as getting it put on the same way, they're not directional or anything like that. It just goes on, line up the holes, put your 8 bolts in, done deal. Take the belt off. That'll just sit back there like that. The face plate, you can just sit off to the side, lean up against the tire, just like I do with the pulley on the other side, no big deal. Okay, that's got the face plate off. Next thing you're going to want to do is, take and pop this top bolt out here on this strap piece here. All that does is simply hold your safety panel on the side. But take this top bolt out, pull it out, and it will allow this belt to come up and out of there because it runs in behind that piece. And then once you can get the belt, you can just lay it back beside the axle. Also, you got your 3 small wiring harnesses right here. Now, I'm trying to remember, if your combine's been converted over to the big yellow, some of them have a big yellow plug for just like one big single plug. Others, like on our on the R52, it has your single point, where you just put take your 2 face plates, put them together, trip the big handle, and it all locks together. Well, this here's a 1993, so it still had your 3 small individual wiring harnesses. Those run up underneath there. You can see them right now along through there. You just got to get those little straps unbolted, and then same thing, just lay the wiring harness off to the side back here in the back. So I'm going to grab impact, go ahead and pop that guy out. Lay him up there. I'm going to have to take and put this camera down. Maybe I can take and point you down toward the, there we are. Then just pull that out, work that belt up behind it. There we go. Get the belt unhooked back here on the back side, and then just lay it back off the side here, out of the way, and back toward the tire, and you're good to go. These hydraulic hoses, they stay right there because they're not actually hooked up to the throat. They actually hang off the side, so no big deal there as well. Also, there are 2 grease zerks. You got one right here. You just got to take that little nut off, and the little holder tab, lay it off the side. You got one on each side, look just like that. There we go. Same thing. You just got these little cap screws that hold these little tabs on. Take those out. I always take and Just put the little screw right back in the hole, that way it can't get lost. And we got a few more on down through here. If you use an impact, you'll want to use a 6-inch extension. It just gets it on out here, that way you can see it better. Those two screws also hold this cover piece on as well. And if I remember correctly, you don't need to take that cover off unless it might possibly be in the way of the chain coming off the forklift to actually hold the back the throat up. So I'm going to finish taking this wiring harness here off, and I'll show you on those grease zerks as well. Here we are on one of those grease zerks. This is actually back over on the right hand side, but now I don't know why, but here they just use a regular bolt with a 3/8 nut on the outside. Problem is though, when you take that little nut off, you gotta watch that the bolt don't fall through into the throat. Then you're trying to fish that thing out there. Hopefully you can see halfway decent. Okay. Oh, that one had a little lock washer on it. Okay, that lets that go through. Usually what I'll do, if you got a bolt like that, put your finger back on the bolt itself, that way it kind of holds it in there. Get your lock washer slid on, then keep holding it until you can get that little nut started. Okay, hopefully you can see halfway decent. Alright, that's got that. And that should have the throat ready to come off. Actually, just take this hose, lay it back here, because they'll kind of tip back out of the way. Let's see here. Actually, the hose comes off when you take the throat off. However, you don't want to attach to it because it hooks to the hose hooks to a square pivot block right here. And so it actually needs to be separate. But this cable, that right there is oh, that's your parking brake cable. And if I remember correctly, I actually just leave that as is. So that's got that. Alright guys, I'm going to call this an end to part 1. And you see me get everything all disconnected, belts, that kind of thing, wiring harnesses. Part 2 will be getting the throat itself off and also disconnecting the hydraulic cylinders down there as well. So, take care, thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.